What's up, guys? I'm here with mock draft number 2. We're officially in the month of April. I'm glad I didn't do this like yesterday or so because of the Stephon Diggs to Houston Texans. So that's pretty big. Um, so with mock draft number 2, we're gonna do some trades. Um, Draft's just over 4 weeks away. I guess 3 weeks, technically, I guess, in terms of whatever you want to count it, however you want to look at it. The 25th, Marcus and I will be live streaming the first round, discussing the picks, all that, seeing how that goes. With this, so again, we're going to do all of them. This one's going to have trades, some shakeups. Not everything I'm going to 100% agree with, but it's one that I've kind of looked at and thought, wow, this is actually a little bit more realistic. With how things are currently going. So with that, we'll just get into the room and get started. So at this point in time, I think most commonly everybody thinks Caleb Williams is going. That's our guess. That's everybody's guess. So that one's a quick and easy one. And then this is where the controversy comes in. Where is it Drake May, Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy? What's going to happen here at the Commanders? For me, I'm going to lead here and go Jaden Daniels gets taken by the Commanders at quarterback. And then this is where our first trade is going to happen. The Patriots can get a quarterback, but then again, from our last mock, you have 11, 12, and 13 guys all need quarterbacks too. I know there's talks that the Vikings trade up to 5 or 4, but I think they might trade up to 3, and I think the Pats are going to be willing to trade back, especially if the instance here is if Jaden or if Jaden Daniels goes 2 and J.J. McCarthy is available. I don't think the Patriots are wanting him, and they're willing to trade back and get pieces. And if the Vikings are truly high on J.J. McCarthy like they are, they're going to want to beat out the Broncos or Raiders trying to trade up to get Drake May or McCarthy. So for me, this is where the first trade is going to come in. And I have to use picks because we don't have players, but the Vikings are going to trade with the Pats. It's going to be the first, 23rd for the 3rd, and you could probably throw in another pick in here somewhere, a player, or we're just gonna. And for this sake, just so I know it goes through, we're gonna trade the next year's first 2, which potentially could even be a possibility. So that trade goes through, and then again, this is only if the Vikings are actually high on J.J. McCarthy or if they're willing to wait, like I think they should. So we're gonna go here at pick number 3, and they're gonna take J.J. McCarthy over Drake May, and then the Arizona Cardinals, I think, are still going to take a wide receiver no matter what. I don't think they trade back at this point. I know there's Drake May on the board, but do these guys, do they really want to give up a whole ton of draft capital to move up into the top for Drake May? Maybe try to wait it out. I do believe that like the team like the Raiders are going to hold off on a quarterback until later, which we'll get into further. And then it's really the Broncos and Pats kind of working on Drake May, Bo Nix, Penix Jr., whatever. So for this one, Arizona, I know Malik Neighbors is getting a lot of high talks, but I don't feel like the Cardinals are leaning that way. With Neighbors, I think they're still going to go Marvin Harrison Jr. This is where a difference maker comes in here. Harbaugh, coach, loves to run the ball, big on offensive line. I don't think they go Malik Neighbors at wide receiver. I think they're going to go and beef up that offensive line. Go take Joe Alt. They need it. It was bad last year, or it's been bad the last couple of years. They have some pretty decent linemen, like Rashawn Slater, but they need something else, especially if Justin Herbert's going to be your franchise quarterback, which they're paying him to be. Get him a guy that can protect him, get him some line, and then especially, if you're going to be running the ball, you need something better than what's going to give what Eckler has had over the last couple of years in that aspect. And then the Giants are up on the board. This is where what do the Giants do? Do they go look at it? I know there's talks of quarterback play. Let me look here. They got Drew Lock, Daniel Jones. They just signed Drew Lock. They have Daniel Jones on that contract. Most likely, they're going to kind of have to buy in at least this year with those quarterbacks. So I think the best thing that you can do for them at this point is to go get them weapons and go get Malik Neighbors. Tennessee, I think, again, they've added wide receiver. You're going to build around Will Levis for right now, or if he's not the answer, for whatever quarterback's going to come in, build around him. You're going to protect him. Make sure that, again, offensive line is deep this year. You want to get these guys. They're going to go and get Fashanu and beef up that line. Next one, I still think the Falcons, they're going to have to go defense here, and I think you're better off. I mean, it's Dallas Turner. Just take Dallas Turner at 8. There's no questions asked. Don't try to reach. Don't try to do something different. Just go get Dallas Turner. He's going to be a guy that's going to get to the ball for him, create that defensive there. So this is where these three teams now come into play because all three need a quarterback. Bears, they got their quarterback. They have wide receivers. They need defense. They only have 3 picks coming in, 1, 9, and 75. They want some draft capital. I think with the Pats trading back down to 23, they're comfortable with drafting a quarterback back here with Bo Nix or Penix Jr., so they're going to hold off. The Raiders, I think, again, they're going to hold off and trade back into the first and go get Bo Nix or Penix Jr. So I think this is where Denver is going to potentially look at trading up. And bear with me because I don't remember exactly what I had down here. For some reason, I didn't write these down. Shame on me, I guess. So the Bears, 12, 76, 9. I feel like there was one more, but let me try that. Yeah. Denver, Bears, 12, 76, 9, and let's try 121. Was that it? Nope. Okay. Maybe 2 seconds. There we go. It was 2 seconds. Okay. So now the Broncos come up and they're going to get a quarterback in Drake May. Jets, they're going to go get an offensive weapon for Rodgers. You just signed Mike Williams to a 1-year deal. You could go tight end and have a good tight end. You could go Romeo Dunze and have a great wide receiver. To me, I think you still go wide receiver because Mike Williams is only on a 1-year deal. So even if you lose Mike Williams, you still have Romeo Dunze there. So I think Romeo Dunze goes to the Jets. Now 10, Patriots are going to stay at 11, not settle, sorry. And I think one of the things that you got to do is if you're going to go draft a new quarterback, you got to protect them, build up that offensive line. Your defense is pretty good, I'd say. You could go get a DB, but I think the biggest one is if you're going to draft a quarterback here later, you're going to go want to protect him, and you're going to go get Fuaga. And then the Bears, at this point, you just need defense. You got Caleb Williams, you got your running back, you got wide receivers. You could go offensive line later in the draft with whatever you need there. But I think you need to get another true pass rush going on here. So they're going to go Latu out of UCLA. Now the Raiders. Raiders have a lot of questions. I think, again, they're going to trade up later and get a quarterback. So quarterback you don't have to worry about. You need a lot. You could go defense, like I had them do. But again, with how deep or how good this offensive line talent is, I think they're going to buy in and get protection for whatever quarterback they're going to have. that's going to be a focal point there, and they're going to go get Fatanu out of Washington. And the Saints, you have Derek Carr, you have wide receivers, you got some defense, you got Chase Young now. I think one of the focal standpoints for them is their offensive line again. You got to protect the quarterback. It was so bad last year. Again, Derek Carr, Jameis Winston, when he played, like, they just didn't have time. So one of the things they got to do is beef up that line and go get Amaris Mims. And then this one, I think, is going to be a shocker. This is where Brock Bowers is going to go. The Colts, they have some younger tight ends, not a whole lot of production. You got Anthony Richardson. You could go wide receiver and draft Brian Thomas Jr. here. But they like to run the ball, and Brock Bowers is going to provide better run support than a wide receiver, to being the tight end he is. So I'm going to draft Brock Bowers. I think the Colts could take Brock Bowers here. Give Anthony Richardson AR-15. I guess it's not 15 anymore because he's not with Florida, but I still call him AR-15. Give him a weapon at tight end there, and then again, the blocking ability that Bowers will provide them to run that ball. Seahawks, they're going to go and get Terrion Arnold. Secondary was very poor. You lost some safeties. You're going to need that secondary help. I know their line needs some help too, but I think with what you're working with, you have some offensive power. Go get your defensive ability here. Go draft later. Because they have picks 81. You could go get a tackle around that time frame, or even later again with how deep it is. Jags is a question one here for me. They say they need wide receiver, but I feel like they have a lot. Just a lot. So I think they're going to go and meet their number one need in getting a defensive back. They have the pass rush. Go get somebody that's going to be able to guard for them at Kenyon Mitchell. Now, this one I think is going to happen just solely because he's from LSU. T. Higgins potentially will be gone after this year. Going to have to replace him. Going to need somebody that's going to be fairly cheap compared to what T. Higgins is. You're going to pay Chase Young. You got Joe Burrow. Go get another LSU guy, Brian Thomas Jr., and they're going to be... That's going to be a great powerhouse. You're losing Tyler Boyd. Unstoppable trio right there. Very, very going to be crazy to watch when they draft him. I do think potentially with the news with the Bills may try to trade up before the Bengals or get into this area to get Brian Thomas Jr. They very well could, but again, with some of these wide receivers, I think they can wait and sit. They don't really need to trade up unless they really like Brian Thomas Jr. I think they can wait where they're at. LA, you lose Aaron Donald. You need something on that line now. You could go edge with Jared Verse, but I think they're going to take Johnny Newton at defensive tackle. You're going to need somebody to come in and get as close as possible as you can to replacing Aaron Donald from the start, and I think Johnny Newton's that answer. Take up that middle and be a true defensive tackle for him. Steelers, again, offensive line really needs a cake. You could go tackles, J.C. Latham, or you could go... I'm going to go with Jackson Powers Johnson just because he can play guard center. He gives you an option at 3 different spots, basically, both sides of the guard and then center. Solid blocker for him. Dolphins, you lose Christian Wilkins. Your defense has lost a lot. I think you're going to take the defensive tackle Brian Murphy the second out of Texas. Try to replace Christian Wilkins, just kind of like how the Rams are doing with defensive tackle there. Try to replace Aaron Donald and go from there. Eagles, I did have them taking off offensive tackle just because that's what they do. They beef up that line, get a replacement with Lane Johnson being older. But here, I'm going to go a different route. I think because of the Hassan Reddick news, you traded him. Again, that's more towards money issue. Don't want to really pay him what he's asking for. which I agree. We got Bryce Huff. Our defensive line has also been something that we're always big on. We're going to go get Jared Versay out of Florida State. Just another smaller contract compared to what we're set Reddick, and then be able to still beef up that defense there. I know we also need secondary. Could have went secondary there too, but I think we can get that later. Third picks. This is where the Pats are going to go and get a quarterback. To me, I feel like Bo Nix is the most NFL-ready quarterback in the league, and I think this is, in being the Patriots, they're going to go and get him. I don't think they'll take Penix. I think they'll go and get Bo Nix here. Cowboys have been a hot mess. They have one free agency signing all season, or all free agency, I guess is what you want to call it. They have not done anything that they probably should have not tried to spend any money. I know you have some issues with some contracts, but they lost a good chunk of players, and they need to replace that. And again, Dallas has always had a pretty decent line, a top 5 type of line. I know you need wide receiver and everything like that. Go get that later. They have picks 56 and 87. You could go get a wide receiver later at that point. Go offensive tackle and go get J.C. Latham. Then you are protecting Dak. And whatever running back you end up getting later, which I think they go and get Trey Benson later, too. Solid for them. They just need that youth on that line with everybody getting older. Green Bay, linebacker, DB, offensive line. You lose some offensive line, safety. I think they're going to go DB here. Nate Wiggins, Cooper DeJean. Kind of waiting with DeJean's, his pro day or workout that he's going to be doing here in the next couple days. I think he is getting looked down a little bit against Nate Wiggins due to that, but I think Cooper DeJean's a better option at DB, and the Packers are going to go get him for that. I know I like how this one has him labeled as safety, but he's DB. And I think just because he's white, he's not going to be able to be a DB, and he's going to switch to safety, so they're already predicting it. I don't know. Bucks, you lose Shaq Barrett. You need some pass rush. Go get Chop Robinson. He's going to be a great replacement for him. Cardinals we got the wide receiver earlier here, Marvin Harrison at 4. So go work on that defense now. You could go any route you want to, but I think you're going to take just the best available. Go get Nate Wiggins. Bills, you have Curtis Samuel, just a bunch of wide receiver 3 guys, maybe 2, borderline 2, but a lot of wide receiver 3 or less guys. You need somebody to come in and be a playmaker for you. They're going to go and take Keon Coleman from Florida State. A lot of upside, bigger body. I know you could go speed with Xavier Worthy, but I like Keon Coleman in their situation now. Bigger body, go up, give Josh Allen a true number 1 there. Lions lose Cam Sutton. Defensive in the playoffs, their DBs, especially Cam Sutton, were not good. So they're going to go and beef that up and go get Kool-Aid from Bama. Ravens, I think the one thing that they need on their offense for wide receiver is size. They have some speed. They need size. Go get Adonai Mitchell's fast too, but he's a bigger body. Go get Adonai Mitchell. Be a big target for Lamar to throw to, and give him that. And then this is where the Raiders come in and trade up. The 49ers, you could draft and add some depth where you're picking at. You could go get a tackle. Not really a DB there for you. Not really a defensive tackle. Really the only thing that you got there that you would really want is a tackle. I mean, that's about it. But if you can trade back into the second and get to pick 44 area, some of these guys may fall, you know, you have a little bit more options in terms of if you want to go edge, if you want to go wide receiver, whatever you want to do there. So I think they're going to trade back, and I think the Raiders will try to trade up, and this is where they're going to draft Penix. I think I did do 2 seconds, a third for 31. I could be wrong. Yeah. So this is where they go and get Penix Jr., and now they have their quarterback. I don't think they're going to – I know they could rely on Gardner Minshew and draft a quarterback later, but I think if Penix is there, why not go grab him if they're able to? Or they might try to wait until pick 44, because what other team goes before them that really needs a quarterback that already drafted one? No one. So everybody else has their quarterback. They could potentially try to wait it out. And then lastly, the Chiefs. They need wide receiver bad. This Rice situation, we don't know what's going to happen with it. I don't think anybody died with it, so that's a huge, huge thing. But it does not look good with the walking off the scene, leaving the scene, everything like that. I know as an Eagles fan, it's an issue. And it's going to be talked about a lot, and we'll see what happens. But until then, I feel like they're going to go and get a wide receiver, and no better person at this point than to get Xavier Worthy. They get that speed. So just a preview here of my 32 first-round mock drafts. Got a couple trades. Some of these are a little bit more realistic now that I'm, looking at it compared to the one where there was no trades and you kind of have to have it. I still think the Vikings make a mistake if they try to trade up. You can do exactly what the Pats did and wait till 23 to go get Penix or Penix Jr. really, and then it's because it's just a game here. In these 11, 12, 13. Who's going to bite on a quarterback? Who's going to jump up first to get the guy that they want? It all comes down to that. And I like this draft. I think this draft makes sense for every team here. We'll do a couple more mock drafts in the next couple weeks. Might even break it into maybe like a 2-round mock draft. I like mostly the round ones, because round 2 you never know what's going to happen. A lot more trades could go down. Who knows? But yeah, we'll do maybe 1 or 2 more mock drafts before the actual draft starts, and see how much changes. Again, there's a lot of free agency signings that can still happen. A lot of talent left on that board. But yeah, enjoy this mock draft. See y'all next week on our every 2-week episode. Peace out.